list of names. Okay?
In boxing, though, Lee, in boxing, it is different. When you talk about a fighter like Floyd Mayweather, you're talking about a pound for pound elite, a great. You're talking top 10.
Right.
You can't do that with Robert. You can't compare Robert to him.
No, stop. Oscar De La Hoya lost a lot, right? Because he bit off a lot more than he could chew a lot of the time, right?
Yeah, big fights back to back to back. Yes,
back to back to back to back.
One of the greatest welterweight runs
and he was
ever seen.
in every single fight, unless he was doing something that was clearly to make money. Unless he was in a fight to make money, and I've watched Oscar De La Hoya make money in the ring, and I paid for it.
Yeah, but he has one of the greatest welterweight runs I've ever seen. When he fought Chavez Sr. rematch,
right?
Ike Corte, Pernell Whitaker, and Trinidad,
elite level.
We don't have fighters that do that nowadays.
Bernard Hopkins, first ballot, no question. Every single belt deserves to put him in his Hall of Fame, no question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Level,
when we have this discussion about Robert Guerrero, it's like,
he's
a good guy. Yeah. No, I get that. The Boxing Hall of Fame. The one in Vegas that's $100 a plate. Yeah, I know the deal. He'll get in because he's a good person who was a very good fighter. It's a good story. Arturo Gatti was a good story, but a bad human being. Okay? I don't think there's anybody disputing Gatti the human. Okay? Gatti the human is not that guy. Okay? He's a wife beater. I'm sorry, are we going to let that slide?
No, I don't know. I mean, that doesn't bother. Gotti got into the Hall of Fame on pure guts and heart.
Right. He was a very good
And I believe that's why.
And here's what it is with Arturo Gatti. Arturo Gatti was a very good fighter who gave us a lot of entertainment. Right? And that's what it comes down to in boxing. Did you entertain us? I mean, I'm just being brutally honest. There are heavyweights that are going to get in over a period of time that probably shouldn't be there. I guarantee you're going to see the likes of Chris Berg make the Hall of Fame at some point. He held the title multiple times. He's the multiple-time IBF champion in the heavyweight division. You're telling me he doesn't go in at some point? Because they'll romanticize it.
Yeah, I think Riddick Bowe is already in there.
Oh, my God. And what did Riddick Bowe actually do?
In the International Boxing Hall of Fame in New York is what we're talking about.
Riddick Bowe showed up for 2 fights out of his career. 2! Oh, my God. People who romanticize Riddick Bowe never went to his fight. I went to the 2 fights where he showed up. The rest of them, some fat dude named Riddick Bowe went to a fight and crazy shit happened.
I question Nassim Hamad being in there. No, I really do.
That makes no sense.
The biggest fight of his career, he was outclassed and then left. Everything else is a buildup from HBO. The gimmicks, the ring entrances, the opponents. Kevin Kelly's a great fight. That is an awesome fight. Don't know if that makes you one of the greatest boxers of all time, though, beating Kevin Kelly. He's in the Hall of Fame.
And here's the thing. We romanticize Kelly because he had a persona on TV. He kind of moved over. Like, Kelly was a personality. Kevin Kelly was like the darling of, I want to say he was the HBO, it was HBO, right? He was like the HBO darling for a while. And that's what it's about. It's about the exposure. It's about the fight. This is my knock with boxing. I just recently watched the Netflix movie, what is it, Counterpunch or whatever it is, where they follow the 3 careers. If I get the name wrong, just type in boxing on Netflix and you'll find it. And they talk about literally why it was detrimental for the PBC to show up, right? And they explain literally that today it's about making boxing is about entertainment these days, and that's the way they see it. The PBC ran on the model, is running on the model. Now they've had to change it because they were wrong. PBC believed at the beginning they were running on the model of putting on entertaining fights with names, when in fact what boxing fans really want, and we've discovered this, We want the best guy
fighting the best
guy.
Yep.
And if you look at who's being successful, like hands down, I would say that there's one guy, hands down, that's killing it as a matchmaker, and that's Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing. Everybody just back away from it, and you can say whatever you want, but if you look at those English cards that he puts on, he's not just putting on the 2 best guys in the main event. That's what's selling out his stadium. What gets him in their seats at 5 o'clock in the afternoon is he's stacking the frickin' cards.
Yeah, no, I mean, Lee, the whole thing about free boxing will bring in more fans. Average fans did not work. The PBC's losing contracts.
We got lazy. The truth is, we got lazy in boxing. Bob,
they're actually
lazy,
there's guys
Oscar
that are
got
not
lazy.
They're not re-upping. Spike TV walked. ESPN walked. ESPN's working with Top Rank
now. Yeah, all of those fights are going on Top Rank.
ESPN just put on Pacquiao. They've got Terrence Crawford and Vasily Lomachenko literally coming up on their schedule.
In fact, I'm going to the Lomachenko fight in Los Angeles. They haven't even announced a card. ESPN just wrote an open check and said, "We'll put on whatever you got for us, Bob. Go ahead."
They're going to get views. Dude, this Terrence Crawford fight, he's going up against the Ndungu, or the undefeated African fighter who just won a title by knockout. It has 2 huge wins back-to-back. They're unifying all the belts. This is unheard of. Pacquiao fights Horn 51,000. That's on free television. That was a great show. And I don't care how the decision was. Everybody was talking about it the next day. Win for Top Rank.
It is a win for Top Rank. Top Rank's mistake was, I'll tell you what Top Rank's mistake was. And it goes back to Pacquiao's previous fight. Okay? He should have put his fights initially on ESPN when Showtime and HBO passed on him. The minute that started to happen on Bob, he should have moved immediately over to HBO.
Yeah, he did a couple of pay-per-views.
Right.
You mean the Brandon Rio? He did Brandon Rios that probably shouldn't have been on pay-per-view. And Jesse Vargas.
Right. And I'll tell you why. That's just old school thinking of, well, let's just get paid and cover our expenses and get the fighters paid. Instead of, let's just move it all over to ESPN and just they've changed the dynamics. Okay, I'll tell you what Oscar did. I'll tell everybody in boxing what the future is that happened. ESPN's getting big-time fights, and Oscar did this too that I think is even more astounding, and people still don't get this. When Oscar put that last fight on, right, Chavez Jr. and Canelo, they were streaming on the internet. That's a big deal. Like, people don't get that. That's a big deal, okay? It cuts down their expenses on pay-per-view. I guarantee
it's all about leverage.
If
it's all
Oscar
about
looks
leverage,
at the person, and I'll say this to everybody at Golden Boy, look at your return on investment on what you did on your network fee, on your what your pay-per-view feed was. I'm sure you guys made a lot of money, but you have to pay, let's say it's $100 for a pay-per-view. 80 of that's going to pay-per-view. Like, they make an ungodly amount of money. Like, they've always made a huge percentage of the pay-per-view money. Everybody knows that, right?
Yep.
So now you're doing it on the internet with your crew. You're doing it with the guys you like. You're doing it with Beto. You're doing it with, Steve Kim. I
don't even think it's about that, though.
But you got your costs down. You got the internet people behind it. It's
that's
brilliant.
For a certain generation, though. There's still people that watch.
But I get that. I get that completely, Andrew. What I'm saying is, if you're trying to turn the corner, you gotta. I've always said this: the person who addresses that internet boxing community.
They are, but there's still a lot of money left in TV, especially
no
live
question.
Sports. And that's what they're gunning for. When you look at the PBC has done some great numbers, 3.5, 4 million,
because
6
they based
million.
it on entertainment first.
Well,
and
let me
worked
tell you,
for a while.
When you put a unification title match on, there's going to be a lot of diehards that are going to be watching this fight. They're going to be telling other people to watch this fight. The Manny Pacquiao Jeff Horn fight, you can probably literally double that in numbers coming up later this year when they do their rematch.
Okay, let's make a segue right there and talk about Broner Garcia next weekend. Okay.
Yes.
And use it in this example. Broner Garcia is a better fight than Horn Pacquiao. No question for anybody listening. All of you Manny Pacquiao fans, back away from, you're lucky you got Manny Pacquiao in a war. Jeff Horn came and strapped it on. But you're talking about very good fighters. They're not elite level fighters. I will say this. As much as I hate Adrian Broner, okay? He shows up in big fights. And you got Mikey Garcia. This, in theory, is two people. One of them's coming out of this as an elite level fighter. Like, he's coming out as a name. Like, this is somebody's coming out party. They're establishing a very big name and dumping a fighter, more or less. That's how big this fight is. And if it were on ESPN, here's the sad reality, Andrew. It's doing 2 million views.
Well, I think it's going to get more than that. I think Mikey Garcia is a lot more popular than that, Lee. I really do. He has a fan base that's going to attract numbers, and this is a big fight for him. Adrian Broner's the best fighter that he's faced in these heavier weight divisions. I won't say throughout his career, because I think Mikey's been in with some elite competition every level he's been in so far, besides his PBC opponent. That was just a warm-up fight. Who is the guy's name? Chilian or whatever, the undefeated.
He looked bloated, and he's on.
And then he just got annihilated.
And,
he just got annihilated. He didn't even look like he should have been 22-0. So, Mikey, this is a huge fight for him. He was a star. He was a star rising with Top Rank. Mikey Garcia would have been on pay-per-view already if he would have stood with Top Rank. We would have seen probably the Terrence Crawford. But he wanted
to get paid immediately, and I get that.
No, they said he didn't want to get in with Terrence Crawford. And he's already talking about leaving the 140 division after this fight. Okay, he says he might stick around, but most likely move into 147. He's never wanted to face Terrence. Okay, that has been said. Look at what was it, the Gamboa? I think he was even having issues with fighting Gamboa at one point, and it wasn't until Gamboa was used up, and when I won't say used up, but had a couple of defeats, then Mikey turned his decision around. No, I mean, the Orlando Salido fight, the broken nose situation. So there was questioning of Mikey's the heart, okay, how much he really wanted it in boxing. And maybe he didn't want the Terrence Crawford at that time. Maybe he had his brothers and everything in his ear talking about he should be, if you're going to take a fight that hard, it should be worth $10 million. Wait for 3 years down the line when both of you guys are exciting. Let me tell you, he beats Adrian Broner this Saturday. Terrence Crawford is a unified junior welterweight champion. That fight's going to get huge again, but I still don't think it's going to warrant a $10 million gate. Right?
I agree.
That's an LA fight still. I don't know if Terrence Crawford, maybe they go to Nebraska and up the prices over there, but I don't know if Terrence Crawford, Mikey Garcia, even if they both win their next fights, is still big enough for Mikey to take that risk if that was the questioning all along. If he's been questioning himself against Terrence Crawford because the money ain't right, I still don't think the money's right. He hasn't peaked yet.
Well, we're going to find out real quick, aren't we?
Yes, because I have him beating Broner. I think Broner, he's been undisciplined for so long, you can't just turn it on. It's not a light switch. It's something that you prepare yourself, I think, your whole career. And in Broner's case, he has not prepared himself his whole career to be an elite fighter. Yeah, he talks good. Oh, I wish I was Floyd. Oh, I'm going to start training hard. But then you see pictures of him, and I don't know if it's his beard that he's always sportingly, but the dude looks heavy all the time. Adrian Broner is not someone who trains 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. All right.
No, he clearly drinks, and there's clearly off time and
eating, and he looked heavy a good portion of this promotion, in my opinion. Now, once again, it could be just the beard. I don't really know. But he does wear a lot of clothing. You know, sometimes that's trying to hide the weight, the jacket,